Hi everyone, welcome to our channel Avante Attic. I'm Vickie.
And I'm Mark.
And we are liquidating our own estate. Today Mark is doing a pack and ship and he makes a custom box.
I sold my Pyro Design-A-Plane plastic model aircraft design construction set. It sold for $39.95 plus shipping, and we're going to send this off to Oklahoma. Let's open up and see what we've got to do. Here's the instructions, and we'll get those bagged up here in a little bit. But inside we've got all kinds of plastic parts that we're going to wrap in bubble wrap, small bubble wrap, to protect them. Let's get on with that. Okay, we're going to take a whole sheet of small bubble wrap and we're going to put the items on a diagonal, fold these over, and one piece of tape. Alright, I think I'm going to move this over to the side here, and we'll keep wrapping on the table. Okay, we're wrapping with the bubbles to the inside, and again on the diagonal. And if we do 4 folds, they meet in the middle, and we can close it with one piece of tape. Here's the next one. These are all model plastic parts. The neat part about this model set is, unlike the glue together models, these snap together and can be taken apart and snapped back together in a different fashion, and therefore you can actually build thousands of different designs of jet aircraft. And we've got 2 small bags of pieces here. We're just going to go ahead and wrap those together. And one more bag of parts. Okay, now let's hope that all fits back in the box. But one more thing here. I've got a couple sheets of decals that are reusable. I've reused some of them, and there's one new sheet. And I think we're going to put those into a Ziploc bag to protect them. Now, let's see if we can get it to all go back in. That went there, and this went here, and that goes on top of that, and those are a little puffy. Those go there. Okay, this one's too puffy. It won't let the piece go down far enough, so we're going to take this one and redo it and remove some of the bubble wrap. Let's see if we can do this with a half a sheet. And try just a roll-up. I think that's going to fit now in there. Very good. Let's get that in there and that there. Now, go to the instruction sheets. Yeah, you're supposed to be able to make all kinds of different airplanes out of this. We're going to put this in a plastic sleeve, protect it. And there we go. Now, this is a little bit thick there. Let's see how the box lid goes on. Just a little puffy, but I think we're going to be okay because we're going to wrap this with stretch wrap and then bubble wrap before we make a box for it. Okay, we're going to move the box aside, and I've got this giant roll of stretch wrap that we're going to try using. Vickie's going to give me a hand here unrolling it.
It has a lot of reflection, doesn't it, with the lights? It's glaring.
Okay,
I think.
Let's stop right there. Let's set the box on. We're going to bring this edge up.
Let's go ahead and cut that. Excuse my reach, folks. It's too hard to try to actually do the stretch. And
just stretch it a little bit, it'll grab. And we'll fold the edges up. And the idea of putting the plastic wrap, stretch wrap on the item is just in case. If the package winds up being delivered and it's left out in the rain and the outer box can get wet and soak through, but the plastic wrap is going to protect the inner box and the contents from getting all wet and messy. Next is large bubble wrap. Okay, but before we put the bubble wrap on, we're going to add our thank you label. This is something we put on all of our packages, and it just says enjoy, shop again soon. Avante Attic, thank you. I've pulled off 4 sections of the large 1/2-inch bubble wrap, and sometimes we use 1/4-inch bubble wrap, but in this case, with the size of the box and putting an outer box on top, we're going to use the large 1/2-inch bubble wrap. The 4 sections more than reach. However, I don't want the overlap here and the double thickness. We're going to cut this so that we just butt together. And that first row of bubbles is already flat, so this row is pretty full. So we're going to use some masking tape to hold these together because it's a lot easier for the buyer to see, get off of the package as they're unwrapping it. And it's a lot cheaper than packing tape. Our sides are still unprotected, so we're going to need to cut a couple strips to go along these edges. I'm going to first cut this to length. That way I'll be able to get my 2 sides out of this one piece. And they need to be about 3 bubbles wide, so that will go nicely on there. And I'm going to turn this over the other side. Okay, let's do the same thing to this end. There we are. Not extremely pretty, but very effective. Now we're ready to go over to my shop and make a box for it. We have a box here that we received eBay shipping boxes in, and it's a 32 edge crush test rated, so this is what you should use for an exterior box. And it's a lot bigger than what we need, so we're going to cut this down a little bit. The other thing, when you reuse an old box, put your printing, your writing, your labels, your mess on the inside, and that way your outside is going to be nice and clean. Now on this end we've got a ragged edge, and I'm going to take my cutting mat and straight edge, and I'm going to remove this rough edge. Now I've got a nice straight edge to work with. Here's my package. The idea here is we're going to keep it this way. I'm going to use the existing folds of the box so that I don't have to create new folds on the side. I'm probably going to have to add a little bit of extra packing on each end here. And down here, the idea is going to be to make this crease up here on the top edge. I need to put my package here and then lay it down, and that gives me the width that I need here. Now let's take a measurement from the edge of my package to the edge of the cardboard. I've got 10 inches. On this end to this seam I've got 12 inches. So let's just go ahead and cut this seam off, and we'll have our piece of cardboard to work with. Okay, let's move the package out of the way and move the cutting board down here so we don't cut our table underneath here. This was 10 inches here, and on this end it should be 10 inches, and I've got 12, so I should have a little bit of room to spare. So we're going to cut this off at that seam and then proceed with making the box. So I've got my cutting board underneath, and we're just going to cut right on that seam.
So bye-bye to this piece.
We can get that piece out of the way.
I'll take care of that one.
Let's start to figure the rest of this out. I'm going to put my designer plane set in upside down so that when I fold this up, the seams putting the box together are on the bottom of the box, and we've got a clean top to work with. Let me turn this around where the camera can see. I'm using this fold to go over, it'll be the bottom of the box. So then on this side, fold that down. I need to score and fold right here. Let me just measure and see. I've got 3 3/4, 3 3/4, and I'm about 3 3/4. So
what kind of tool are you going to use to score it?
We have a scoring tool.
Love that.
See that?
Love this scoring tool.
Yeah, they work great. I'm going to hold my ruler in place here. I'm a little off the edge of my table. I might have to redo this a little bit.
And you have to go back and forth a few times and go slow because it does like to jump a little bit. I don't think there's any tool that makes it perfect. But a couple of times and it typically will fold.
Let me pull my
cutting board.
Yep, let me put my cutting board back under.
You see the little dotted line there? That's what the scoring tool did.
This over here may wind up getting cut off. I haven't figured that out yet. That folds nicely on the score and
perfect.
Makes a nice fold and corner on that side. The next trick is to figure out where score needs to be on this end to keep things nice and tight. So let's take our straight edge again, and you don't want to make this too close, otherwise it winds up binding against your package and it gets too tight. So as I was saying, we've got to figure out where this next score line has to go. And what I'm going to do, I've got my box positioned here, and I'm going to measure off of this score line that I made here. Now, my box is 12 inches wide plus a 1/2 inch bubble on each side. That makes 13 inches. And as I said, you don't want to cut this too tight, so we're going to add a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go 13 1/4 on this end. Do 13 1/4 there, and we're going to do 13 1/4 that side. The package out of the way again. Yep, there's my mat and scoring tool. The mat up there to support it. That should fold up nicely. So let's put our package back in. Fold this side up, fold this side up, and now all we need to do is figure out where to score this to get it to fold down. We want the score here to be the same width as the score here. If I measure from my score to the fold, I'm at 3 3/4. So that means I want to come up here and go 3 3/4 to my next right there. I got my cutting board back underneath here, and got I can almost see my lines. I think we're good. And now let's see if I can keep this on track. Cutting board up, they're lined up. That folds up real nice. That folds. Let's get our package in. Fold, 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 fold. All right, now let's start to figure out how these ends are going to close up. Again, trying to use existing fold. We're going to fold this end up, and we're going to bring our package over to that fold. Now on this end, if I use that existing fold, I have, 1.5 inches or so of space I would have to fill. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and fit this end, and then I'm going to rescore here to make a new fold instead of using this one, and that's going to reduce our box size by at least 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Instead of just cutting a seam here to get the flaps to fold, most professionally made boxes you'll see have a notch so that when they fold over, they aren't binding each other. So the best thing you can do is follow that same pattern and cut a notch out here. Let's get our cutting board, utility knife. So you would make 2 parallel cuts on either side of your score and remove that piece.
Voila, you've got it. I love this new trick that we've been doing here.
I have another tool that actually came out of my dad's metalworking toolbox.
Oh my gosh, look at that tool.
It's a double cutter. You probably don't have one of these, But instead of having to cut with the utility knife,
Why don't you look at that?
there you are.
What is that tool normally used for, Mark?
It's used in putting ductwork in for furnace work. My dad did furnace work back in the 1950s. And it also does crimping to put ends of ductwork together. So,
anyone out there have one of those? Leave a comment if you do. It'd be interesting to know.
I believe you can still buy these tools new, but they're not real cheap. So we're going to go ahead and do that on these two seams. And by the way, thanks, Dad. This is the end that we're going to shorten up. So we got to figure out where we're going to create this next fold. So I'm going to bring up this flap here that we know is already good and measure from there over here. I've got 19 inches. So what I'm going to want to do is come 19 inches from this fold. Got 19 here, 19 here. But that crease, that fold, is going to have to go the full width or length of the box here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more marks to work off of.
The reason that we're doing this, folks, is that we're trying to keep it from becoming an oversized box. And it still might be, but we're trying to make it as small as possible. By oversized, I mean if it's over 36 inches by the time you add the length, the width, and the height, it's considered oversized. And if you can find one of these rulers with the handle on it.
Yeah, they're great.
At the hardware store, I mean, we love this thing.
I got it at a garage sale.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they still sell them at the hardware store.
Probably.
Hopefully. I didn't even know about it for the longest time.
I kept it hidden.
Mm-hmm. I bet. Keeping your tools away from me.
Yeah, as soon as she found out about it, it wound up in her workspace.
Our workspace.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay.
When you're using a scoring tool, you have to, maybe I said this, but you have to push enough to score it, but you don't want to push all the way through. That would not be a good thing.
You don't want to cut it.
Right.
Let's get this back up on the table, and it's resisting a little bit more than the others. Maybe I should have.
It's the direction that the cardboard is made.
No,
See where
that's true too.
the corrugated.
Yeah, we were doing with the corrugation there. Now we're doing across the corrugation, so that's why it's folding a little bit harder. If you don't get it folded real well, corner doesn't form. Let's put our package back in and see how it fits. I forgot. We're going to have to extend our seam cuts here. Okay, we missed cutting one seam here, so actually two, because it's going to have to be done on the other end also. Let me just go ahead and flip that around.
It's a really nifty tool, but I bet it costs about $80 or more, I would guess.
It's not cheap. We're going to have to extend our seams into this next score. So let's see if I can get my scissors in there.
And of course, that's too long now. You'll have to trim the whole thing down.
Yep, we'll figure that out. Down here, since we're shortening up, I need to make these flaps the same as these flaps. So this is 3.5. So I need to come down here and measure 3.5. We're going to go all the way across here at 3.5.
You like the cutting board, sir?
All right.
By golly, I think you got that. And we recycle all these little pieces. I can use these as little corner protectors of smaller items that we're shipping. I save all of this.
Okay, let's get our Design a Plane package back in our box and see how it goes together. Let's bring our bottom flaps together, and I think this is all going to fit well. We're going to put tape across here.
You'll be adding more tape there,
And
right?
here, oh yeah, we're going to add more tape. This is just to hold it together while we get it to close up. Fold the short flaps, and then those there. And we go around to the other end. Flap, 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 flap.
Let's finish taping it, and I will fast forward. Okay, Mark, take a measurement. Did we say undersized, or are we?
Well, let's
We're not
see.
undersized. Are we oversized?
I've got 19 1/4.
Okay, I'll write that down.
I've got 13 1/4.
I'm getting nervous.
And I've got 3 3/4.
Uh-oh. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you right now that USPS requires you to round up. So what we really have here is a 20 by 14 by 4. And when you add that together, 20 plus 14 plus 4, that's 38. Anything over 36 inches is oversized. We couldn't quite do it, but the good thing is we did charge the buyer for an oversized box. We estimated right. We're not short any money. For that, I give a thumbs up. Oh, hi there. We hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you'll subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. I'm Vickie.
And I'm Mark.
And we
Are
are liquidating our own estate. Bye.